Hey guys, so speaking of vacations, welcome to another review, this time of the 2014 comedy drama Tammy, which is a movie that gets like a 4.8 out of 10 on IMDb, and I can't really say I disagree with it, but at the same time, I don't think it's that bad of a movie. I just think it's a film that, just like Let's Be Cops, is another one of those movies that's just mediocre. It's so-so. It's not a total piece of shit, but it's not necessarily the worst thing. It's not a total piece of shit, but it's not really good either. It's one of those like movies, and maybe a 4.8 is a good rating for that on IMDb. It's just shrug. It's definitely one of those films you watch and you shrug your shoulders like it's harmless. It's a harmless film. It's harmless entertainment. There's some things about it that work, and there's a lot of things that don't. Melissa McCarthy, some of her shtick, I actually laughed at when she gets fired by the burger manager and she gives him, basically rips his head off verbally and insults him. I thought that was pretty funny and it was well deserved. There's other moments though where her shtick gets old and it's not funny. It's just annoying. Um, the plot and the whole film is just it's not much of a plot, but thank God it's only 96 minutes. It's got a heart to it, which I like that. Susan Sarandon I enjoyed as Tammy's grandmother, who, was drinking, and she was a good character. I thought she was a well-written character, and it was a lot of fun to see Susan Sarandon play that role. Good makeup effects and so forth. She looks great for a woman her age, and so she wears this makeup to make her look older, and um, the makeup effects were really good. Kathy Bates, I liked in a role where she's a lesbian and she's a lesbian friend of Tammy's grandmother, played by Susan Sarandon. Um, there were other sort of things like Dan Aykroyd I enjoyed in his little cameo role as Tammy's father, especially at the end where he knocks out the the freaking the burger manager guy, and he punches him right in the face and flips him off, which I thought was pretty funny. Gary Cole, he he plays the same character he played in Ricky Bobby in Talladega Nights. I literally thought it was the same character he played in Talladega Nights, The Ballad of Ricky Bobby, Ricky's dad. He acts the same, he looks the same. I swear to God, I thought it was the same character. So there's not much I can say about the character that he played, Earl. Alison Janney was okay. A little bit that she had as Tammy's mother and Pearl's daughter. Not much to do. Melissa McCarthy as Tammy, she had her moments, but other times she was either really it was just obnoxious. You felt bad for her, but at the same time, you're kind of like, shut up. And I do like the fact where, Kathy Bates has a talk with her and tells her basically to stop being a fuck up. And it's true. It's kind of need spirited, but it's definitely true. Susan Sarandon, she was the best part of the film. Pearl, Tammy's grandmother. I mean, she was the best part of the movie. But as a film, it's directed by Ben Falcone, produced by Melissa McCarthy, Will Ferrell, Adam McKay, written by Ben Falcone and Melissa McCarthy. As a film, it's just there's nothing about it that's really gonna be a film that you would watch over and over again. It was interesting to have the whole lesbian, sort of subplot. I mean, you don't really ever see that in this type of film, and it was handled pretty well, with Kathy Bates and her partner, and they're having a party and so forth. And there were moments where genuine bonding moments between the leads between Pearl and Tammy, but it's just a film that was like, okay, did this really need to be made? Was it necessary? Is this a story that needed to be told? Is this a story that we needed to spend $20 million on when we could have done something else with that money? It's nothing that's terrible. There's nothing about the film just like, oh my God, it's the worst thing ever. But there's some moments where it just sits there. It's just there. It's on TV. You're watching it. You don't want to leave the room, but at the same time, you're just like, these are the worst movies for me personally. It's like I'd rather a movie be a total piece of shit or be good rather than be like this, where I don't really know what to say other than Tammy had a good heart to it. It had its moments. It was, there's a few moments that were funny, other moments that weren't so much. Um, some of the, there's a romance that was thrown in there, but I really didn't honestly buy it on both sides, between Pearl and Earl and between Tammy and this other guy, who it was a little, actually, that the other guy was okay. Like, I bought that more than Tammy and Earl, about Pearl and Earl, not Tammy and Earl. Pearl and Earl, because Earl was a character that, like I said, it's literally the same character. It's Ricky Bobby's dad. It's like he didn't do anything to make the character different. It's the same fucking character, and it was distracting to me. And I almost wish there was more of Dan Aykroyd, really. I like Dan Aykroyd a little bit that he had. And Susan Sarandon is the best part of the film. I mean, it takes place, and that's my take on the film without spoilers. Your spoilers. In Murfreesboro, Illinois, Tammy strikes a deer, because that's what happens at the beginning of the film. She hits a deer on the way to her job at Topper Jack's, which is a fictional fast food restaurant, causing significant damage to her vehicle. And I like the little bit of the old school classic rock soundtrack they use as well. It has a little bit of fun vibe to it at moments. That's why I don't hate the film, is because it's harmless entertainment when it's actually entertaining. Other times it's just there and just like, oh, okay, whatever. It's nothing that's really an awful movie. At least for me personally. It's not offensive, and it's not one of the worst things I've ever seen in my life. But that doesn't mean that I want to watch it again. It's just one of those meh, whatever, so-so mediocre films. And I've noticed that a lot of comedies are like that, especially the ones that I've seen this year. There's a few that are really good, like Neighbors I really liked, and The Interview I saw recently, I thought that was pretty good for what it was. And there was a few other Wolf Cop is technically a comedy as well. But there's other ones that are just so-so. Like this. And Let's Be Cops. And other ones that are terrible, like Ride Along. But anyway, so she tries to get to Topper Jacks on time, and her supervisor Keith fires her for showing up late to her shift. This is because this isn't the first time. Upon leaving, Tammy causes a scene by contaminating stealing food, which I didn't mind. It was pretty funny because, the guy kind of deserved it. After her car dies on the way home on Route 13 in Illinois, she eventually arrives to find her husband Greg eating a romantic meal with her neighbor Missy, which means that he's been cheating on her, and so upset, Tammy leaves and walks 2 doors down to her parents' house. She tells her mother, Deb, played by Alison Janney, about her plans to leave and takes her grandmother Pearl's car. Pearl requests to come along because it's her car. Nothing's going to happen unless Pearl goes along. So Tammy initially refuses, but ultimately agrees, and Pearl proves that she has a large sum of cash. Tammy has a beer with Pearl. Sorry about this little edit here. I had a little interruption there. Whatever. Going back to where I was. So Tammy and Pearl, they get drunk. They get drunk on beer. Try to do some stuff with cows in a field. It's really not much of anything. And they end up, Pearl ends up saying, okay, I want to go to Niagara Falls with Tammy because she hasn't ever been there. And along the way, they stop at a bar in Louisville, Kentucky. Tammy meets Earl and his son Bobby. Earl hooks up with Pearl. Tammy and Bobby begin to make a love connection as Pearl and Earl drunkenly make it out in the car. Bobby gives Tammy his number to call him so he can pick up Earl. But this isn't what I mentioned earlier is about. I mean, it's not like the performances were bad. But it's just, I didn't really buy that these two were actually really into each other. It really seemed like, because Tammy comes on to him right off the bat and just literally kisses him while he's waiting to go to use the restroom, which is really, really a turn off. And then as it just seems like they just, when they first meet up, and it just seems like it's awkward. It's just awkward. Every scene that they're in, Bobby and Tammy trying to get them to get together is just awkward. It doesn't seem like they actually like each other. At least to me, the way that the script is written, it just makes it where it seems like they don't actually even like each other. It's just awkward conversations that aren't don't really make you believe that these two actually like each other. But the film forces that sort of the love connection on you. So anyway. They, Tammy and Bobby, awkwardly make a love connection as Pearl and Earl drunkenly make out in the car. Bobby gives Tammy his number to call him so he can pick up Earl. And back at the hotel, Tammy is forced to sleep outside, which is, these are some things that definitely make you sympathize with Tammy. And that, and also the fact that, her mother didn't really seem to do as much with her, or love her as much as her grandmother did. And her grandmother, Pearl, really hurt her when, she basically went up and left one time. And then if Pearl ends up telling the truth later in the film, and of course that makes her feel a little bit better. But yeah, it's just the film is, it's not just about Tammy. It just seems like it's not just about Melissa McCarthy. It's about Susan Sarandon and their relationship. It's about Tammy and Pearl. It's more about them really than just Tammy. But I can understand why they call it Tammy, because it really is pretty much, it's the main character is Melissa McCarthy. So she's forced to sleep outside like a dog, and the next morning Bobby picks up Earl and the two leave. Tammy, who's infuriated with Pearl, leaves her but returns after feeling guilty. Tammy and Pearl are arrested after Pearl gets caught buying a case of beer for underage teenagers, as well as shoplifting a pint of whiskey for herself. Tammy is released, but Pearl stays in jail for possessing illegal prescription drugs. She also finds out that Pearl's a little bit sick, like she's getting swelling in her ankles, so I think it's like cankles or whatever. And the makeup effects are really good on with the whole thing. They gave Susan Sarandon these medical problems. To bail out Pearl, Tammy robs a Chapper Jack's, which is a scene you saw in the trailer, which is just obnoxious and really not much. Really isn't funny. It was just obnoxious. Where she converses with employees Becky and Larry. Finally, having obtained the money, she rushes to prison to bail her out, but Bobby's already bailed out Pearl. With the help of Pearl's wealthy lesbian cousin Lenore, who made her fortune off of a small chain of pet supply stores, played by Kathy Bates, which was nice to see Kathy Bates in a film again. And she helps them, destroy the car to hide the evidence from the robbery. The two then stay at the home of Lenore and her wife Suzanne. And at a 4th of July party thrown at the house, Pearl gets drunk and humiliates Tammy by making rude comments about her weight and appearance in front of all the guests, as well as flashing her boobs to everybody. Which thankfully you don't see that. Okay, you don't see old titties. Not that I have anything wrong with it. It's just I do personally. Okay, I do. I don't want to see that. Okay, that's it. I don't want to see that. It's like the same thing. I mean, nobody wants to see their grandma's tits. I don't want to see it, so I'm glad they didn't show it. And she calls Tammy a cheeseburger. And she gets so plastered that Tammy thinks that she's dead the next morning, but of course she wakes up and she just passed out drunk. Then she ends up getting taken to the hospital, and while she's being in the ambulance, she realizes, oh my God, I said all these bad things about you. And then pretty much what happens is Tammy goes back home. She goes back home, confronts her husband, takes her clothes back, does all this sort of stuff. Tammy's relieved that, Pearl's still alive, so she demands Pearl to get, help for a drinking problem. The ambulance arrives and takes Pearl to the hospital. The police arrive as well. Tammy's arrested, which I was surprised has actually happened. She actually did get arrested for a crime. She's released from prison 38 days later, and her father picks her up. He offers to kill Greg for her, though she declines, which I thought was pretty funny. That's Dan Aykroyd was good in a little cameo of that. It's like, you want me to kill that pencil neck? I can kill him. It's like, no, Dad, no, I don't want you to kill anybody. And returning home, Tammy finds that Greg and Missy have packed Tammy's belongings. She and Greg agree to a divorce. She walks down the street to her parents' place and finds that the Pearl's now living in a retirement home. She freaks out and goes to Brookview to break her out, but Pearl's actually happy there. She's been attending AA meetings at the home, and she's dating one of the men there. However, they still take a trip to Niagara Falls. And at Niagara Falls, Bobby surprises Tammy there, and they kiss. Tammy tells him about their choice to move to Louisville to get a fresh start in life and get closer to him. And then during the end credits, or before the end credits, Tammy's working at the same restaurant that she met Bobby at. And she's being obnoxious and being a terrible employee and telling some guy who orders some ribs that he should order something healthier. It literally forces him to order something healthier. I'm like, that's a terrible, shitty employee. That's not even a funny joke either. It's like, oh, you should watch your weight. It's not good for you. You should You don't need those ribs, man. You don't need the whole plate of ribs. You get a little bit of ribs, then we're gonna get like, some low-fat ranch sauce or something. You like it? I'll give you some salmon or something. I'm like, no, I want fucking ribs. I asked for ribs. I want ribs. That's the kind of humor you got, folks. It's not really much. If it wasn't for Susan Sarandon and a few, actually kind of funny moments with Melissa McCarthy and a little bit that Dan Aykroyd was in, I would hate this movie. But I don't. It's just there. It's so meh, been there, done that, harmless entertainment for one time, but nothing you really ever want to watch again. It's not because it's absolutely terrible. It's because it's lukewarm. Okay, it's like, okay, you have an option of drinking a refreshing soda, fresh out of the can, or drinking one that has lost all its fizz, drinking a flat soda. This is a movie that Tammy is a flat soda. You could drink it, but you'd rather not drink it ever again. It's one of those type of things. Or maybe not really flat. So maybe Tammy is like sparkling water, and a better comedy like Neighbors, for instance, is like a bottle of Sprite. You'd rather drink Sprite versus Talking Rain. Talking Rain you could drink if but you'd rather drink Sprite, and that's pretty much how I feel about this. There's a lot of other comedies I would rather watch and watch again than Tammy. It's not because this movie was terrible, it's just because it just doesn't have a lot going for it. For rewatchability, the first time around, it's okay. That's what it is. It's okay. It's harmless. I can see why some people like it, about its little bit of its southern charm. It's kind of charming at moments. And Susan Sarandon, I liked her character, Pearl. It was a well acted performance. But other than that, the film is just. So I really don't know what to say about Tammy, except it's rate out of 5 stars, a 3. It's another 3-star mediocre average comedy that came out this year. Anyway, thank you for watching my review of Tammy, and I will see you guys later. See ya.